Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 52 of the Wulong Talks podcast. Hi, my name is Jason. I'm the host of the show, as you know. And as usual, I'm joined by my brother in arms, Mr. Rich Kid, aka Rich Reviews, aka the Rustling Kid. Rich Kid, say what's up, man?
Yeah, what's happening, people?
Cool, cool. Good to be back, man. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has. It's been way too long. We've been like doing various things, which you'll find out about in a minute. But apart from that, I think both of us have been like sick as dogs as well over the
Mm.
last couple of weeks, which is not good. Let me tell you, people, having like a heavy cold during the summer is the worst. The worst. Oh my god, because it's like it's hot, it's clammy, you're sweaty, but at the same time you're cold and you got the shivers. Yeah, it's not a good look, man. It really isn't. I mean, as you can hear from my voice, I'm still recovering from it. Um, yeah, it just won't go away. It's proper persistent, this one. So
Mm.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But Rich, how you been, man? You been up to anything good, geeky? Have you been watching any movies, playing any games recently?
I'm back on Uncharted, the Lost Legacy that I got.
Mm.
Basically, I got this for for what, a Secret Santa for our
Mm.
rule. Basically, if any listeners out there who don't know, me and Jay, we've got like a little basically like a little group, little geeky group called Section 9. Section Section 9 TM, trademark
Mm.
that shit. Yeah, so say we were there before Section 9 from Ghost in the Shell, right? And
Yeah.
and and yeah, so basically and we meet up every so often and we do geeky stuff, Comic Cons, cinema, Secret Santas and stuff like that. And my Secret Santa for Christmas just gone gave me Uncharted. Um, and I've been finding it hard basically trying to get into the game. And I just decided the other day, I was like, listen, don't go out and spend any money and get, you've got something here that you can still play alongside Destiny and alongside Final Fantasy 15. Try and try it again. I'm a big fan of the series. And I just started playing it, and it just really picked up from nowhere, and I've started to care about the characters, and I'm just I'm just happy that there's something there to play, and I'm contemplating, after we get off the podcast, after I finish tidying up and having a shower, to just sit down and chill out and just bang a couple of hours of it before I go to sleep. So yeah, so that's one of the main things I've been doing
Mm.
to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah.
You've got the version you've got is not Uncharted 4 though. It's the one that came out after that, right?
Yeah. So it's called Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Right, right, right. Cool.
So yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
so
cool,
yeah,
man. Cool.
interesting. It's an interesting game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out. So yeah, definitely let us know how you get on with it.
Mm,
I've picked up Guardians of the Galaxy again, the Telltale game version. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I've only got the first season pass. I don't even think there was a second season, to be honest. I think it was one and done because I don't think it sold that well. But
mm,
I've been enjoying it, to be honest. It's been a lot like experiencing the movie. The writing on it's really good. And it doesn't feel, although it doesn't feel as the choices don't feel as dramatic as they were on say The Walking Dead, which I loved playing because you really had to make life and death decisions in that game. And in this one, it feels a little bit neutered, a bit, so to speak.
mm.
The choices feel a little bit more generic. They don't really feel as they have a massive impact on the game. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because maybe I need to finish this season and then do it again. But yeah, it's not a bad game. It's definitely not a bad game, and it's a bit of fun. So I've been playing that, and I also watched The Staircase as well, which is a Netflix series. For those of you that know me, you know I love my true crime stuff. Aside from all the geeky things that I do, and this series is really like fascinating. It's gripping. It's you know how they say the truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm, mm.
It's one of those things where like if somebody wrote it and pitched it as a TV series idea, it would get rejected for being too outlandish. Like people would go,
Oh,
nah,
jeez.
no one will believe that. That's how mad the story is. Like, for you listeners that haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, if you're a fan of true crime and things like that, you listen to true crime podcasts or you watch like true crime TV shows, definitely check out The Staircase, man. It's worth a watch. But yeah, man, that's it. It's been a little while since we put together a podcast for you guys, and we thought, why not put together one now, especially as San Diego Comic Con has just passed for another year.
Mm.
As always, we've got loads of information and loads of news about new projects that are coming up, and we also got like a slew of trailers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the bigger trailers that were released. We won't go through everything from San Diego Comic Con because we'll be here all night if we do that. But we'll go through some of the bigger trailers and let you know our thoughts, because I know a few of you have been asking what we thought of different things. So we'll go through some of those. And we'll talk about some of the other big news that's come out around Comic Con as well. So yeah, man, let's just dive straight into it, I think, because I don't think there's nothing else to get over. Yeah, no, we're good. All right, cool.
Yeah, we're good. We're cool.
All right. Yeah, let's dive in, man. So, as I said, we had San Diego Comic Con this year, and we got some really big trailers. One of the big news things was that Marvel announced, or Marvel Studios announced, that they weren't going to be presenting at Hall H as they usually do every year. That left a clear run for DC films from Warner Brothers. And they obviously decided to take advantage of it because they brought a number of panels along with them to showcase some of their upcoming projects. One of the big ones that we got a trailer for that a lot of people are anticipating is Aquaman. The movie itself was something that I was kind of interested in. I mean, it was probably the one I remember, years ago. I think it was about a year ago or 2 years ago where we did the podcast about the DCEU, as it
Yeah.
was then called. And we talked about kind of like the few projects that were on the horizon that maybe might be interesting. And I think Anchorman for me was, well, I think for all of us was probably the one that we were kind of most optimistic for, because of the director involved, James Gunn, who is, for those that don't know, has directed things like Saw, the first Saw movie, has been involved in the Fast and Furious franchise, has been involved in the Conjuring franchise, and lots of other things as well besides that. He's a very talented filmmaker, and he's somebody with a really unique visual style as well. But as well as being, a great visionary with a camera, he also knows how to tell a gripping story, which is what has kind of been lacking from the DC movies that we've had so far. So yeah, we got our first trailer for Aquaman, and I thought it was really good. I mean, Rich, what were your initial thoughts on the trailer? Was there anything that kind of stood out to you?
Um, to be honest, I wasn't impressed. Like, I just think it was okay. And the thing is, like, out of everybody in a DCEU, like we said, like Aquaman, it's weird because I feel that leading up to Justice League, they really pushed the character of Aquaman, and I think it's because what's his name, Jason Momoa. I mean, let's put it this way: Jason Momoa right now is probably he's the equivalent to what Robert Downey Jr. is to to Iron Man, and basically to what a lot of the people who portray Marvel characters in the MCU are. Like, he is almost like he was born to play Aquaman. So
Mm.
half the stuff that he sprouts in the trailers for Justice League, or he says in Justice League, is basically how Jason Momoa talks.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Basically, just him dialed
yeah,
up to 11.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, you know what? Is he being dialed up? I reckon that's just him, bruv. Like,
Yeah, could
it's
well
like,
be actually.
yeah, like you just wake up in the morning and it's like, hey, Jason, and he's like, my man, and he's just there walking around the house naked,
Yeah,
like,
he's living his best life, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And so I felt quite disappointed with what we got in the actual finished Justice League film. What we all know, like the history and the politics behind what's happened behind that, and the rumors, should I say. Um, and like you said, and so with finding out that James Wan was gonna be on here, I was like, okay, you know what, this might be the film that saved the DCEU, but nothing. Like it just felt like I don't know. It just looked like a Little Mermaid with a man. Like, and not to say there's anything wrong with Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid is wicked, but
Mm.
this just felt flat. It didn't have its usual James Wan flair. Like, for example, I remember when James Wan took over the Fast and Furious franchise, and I remember seeing the trailers, and I was like, holy shit! Like, they just drove off a bridge and they jumped off, and that didn't look CGI. Like, like he's very good at framing action, and even if the action is outlandish, like you're still sold.
Mm.
And I mean, obviously, this Aquaman film isn't just about action. There's a story, a lot more story. I assume behind it than say like a Fast and Furious film. But then
Mm.
James Wan has done like he did a really good job with Star Trek Beyond as well. So yeah, so this one it just fell a bit flat for me to be honest. I mean,
Oh, I
if
think Star
visually,
Trek Beyond. Sorry, Rich. I think that was John Chu. Not
pardon?
John. Yeah, I think that was John Chu. Who did Star Trek Beyond. I'm
No,
not sure it was James
John
Wan.
no John Chu is the guy who plays Sulu, no?
Hold on, I'll just check. I'll just check.
Yeah. And if I'm wrong, this is gonna be really bad on fucking live air. So
It's fine, man. Listeners are used to it. We're off the cuff,
no,
man.
no, 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 not me, not me.
No, we do things different. You all know that. What's the? Let me check. Wikipedia. But yeah, you were saying you don't feel it feels like that kind of.
Yeah, it just
Justin Lin is the director.
yeah,
So we're
Justin.
both wrong.
Wow, you know what? This podcast just got really effing racist. James Wan, John Chu,
Well,
Justin
we
Lin.
owe both. Yeah, we owe both of them an apology.
Yeah. Hold on. So what's James Wan done? Let's try.
Wan definitely. Okay, I know he definitely did Saw. He
Yeah, he
definitely
did
did The
Saw. That's it. Yeah,
Conjuring. He
yeah.
definitely did. I think it was faster. Was it number 6 or 7? I think it was. I can't remember. You know what? You know what's confusing?
What's
Justin
that?
Lin did a
Yeah,
lot of the Fast and Furious movies,
yeah.
but James Wan did one of them. I think it was number
Yeah.
6 was the one he did, or it could be number 7. I can't remember.
Hey, who
But
directed number 3? Who directed Tokyo? Hold on. Who direct? See, like I said, I'm not even trying to make this racist, but who directed Tokyo Drift?
that was Justin Lin.
That was Justin Lin.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what
all
I
right.
said.
Okay, so James Wan did like six or something like that, or 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah. So I think it was
Yes, you
number
know
6.
what? You're right. It's coming back to me. Okay, fans, stick with us. Okay, now I remember the reason why. We're getting there. Two heads are better than one. I reckon, if I remember correctly, the reason why James Wan did one of the Fast and Furious is because Justin Lin was
Yeah, it's because he
directing Star Trek
wanted to do
Beyond.
something. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, alrighty. All right, okay. Listen, either way, the trailer didn't do anything for me. Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Yeah, that's the major takeaway from it, people. That
Yeah.
should be taken away.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I mean, maybe I need to see the film, which I am going to. I am definitely going to see Aquaman, but there's just nothing that feels. There was nothing that was just that pulled me in.
Mm.
Like I don't know. I don't know if I'm being like harsh. Maybe the DCEU has left a little of a bad taste in my mouth that I'm looking at what's coming out now, and I'm just like meh.
Mm.
But yeah. But I mean, visually it looks right. I wasn't impressed by that CGI shark, when he was a kid. Um, at the
Oh,
beginning
in
of the trailer.
the early part of the trailer where he's
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
aquarium. You know the
yeah,
one. You know the thing that bothered me about that, and again, I know this is like a stupid thing to pick out, but
mm,
like no aquarium would have all of them animals together in the same thing. Even if you've been like SeaWorld, which I have, and you
yeah,
go down like the Travelator, they don't tend to keep like every kind of random like fish and shark all up
yeah,
in the same place because
yeah.
it's good for them. In
Mm.
that one shot, you see like bear, sharks, all kind of thing in the same thing. And I was like, that's a bit of a safety risk, isn't it? Like,
It's
it's
like
kind of
there was a shark in there. I saw Dory,
yeah.
and I saw a giraffe. You're just like,
Bruce,
what? Wait a minute.
fish are friends, not food.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, well, I kind of liked it. As said, I did like it. I think for me, I suppose I was being optimistic in the way I see it because of how I feel about what we've received so far from DC films. The only way is up. And
Mm,
what I guess I liked about this trailer was, I mean, Aquaman's not a character I know a huge amount about in terms of background and all of that. So I didn't really have any kind of expectations of the trailer and what they were trying to do with the trailer. What I liked was that I felt visually it was quite stunning in certain parts. I agree the CGI shark doesn't look that great. The one that cracks the glass, that looked a bit cheap, but there are other shots like the shots of Atlantis and stuff that I really quite liked, in terms of the way that it was designed and so on. Yeah, it's Jason Momoa probably just being Jason Momoa turned up to 11, but he's a very cool and charismatic guy anyway. So he kind of can, I think he's kind of capable of carrying the character in his own way. That will be appealing to a lot of people. Whether it will be, a straight up adaptation of Arthur Curry from the comics is probably unlikely, because from the little I do know of Arthur Curry, he tends to be more of a straight laced character and a kind of, a very kind of by the book personality, and a guy who's very sort of straightforward in terms of what he does. And that's just not Jason Momoa's style at all in terms of what he does. So it might prove to be a good thing that they've gone with, an actor who, as you said, you made the comparison with Robert Downey Jr. Maybe it's a good idea to go with someone who won't be too literal with their interpretation of the character, and will try to do something different with it, I liked the little glimpse we got of Black Manta. We didn't really see a lot of him in there, but I think the costume actually looks quite good from what we saw. It looks pretty accurate to the comics, and that was cool to see. Ocean Master, we didn't get to see him with his mask on and stuff like that, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And Mira looks okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not too sure about Amber Heard. I've never really been like that big a fan of hers, but we'll see. I guess we'll see what what they serve up and all of that. But I thought, as in terms of kind of setting a tone and the first kind of like look that we got at the movie, it kind of did its job in the sense that it gave us the idea of what kind of Atlantis they're going to be creating for this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess we'll just have to kind of see how it plays out really from there. But yeah, I thought it was all right. Not too bad. Another one that we got as well was Shazam, and again, this is a character I don't really know a lot about. I never really read much Shazam or Captain Marvel, and he was just a character that his like kind of backstory never really gripped me in any way, and I just never really kind of felt that connection with the character. I know you do know quite a bit about him, Rich, from the comic books and things like that.
Yeah.
How did the approach of this trailer kind of look to you in terms of what they're trying to do, and how in a way that they're trying to kind of almost reinvent the character for the present day? Did that kind of work for you at all?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, like source material wise, they've pretty much banged the nail on the head, where you've got like Billy Batson transforming into Shazam. I was surprised. I mean, not surprised. I mean, this is the first trailer. When is Shazam out again? Sorry, is it this year or next year?
No, I don't think it'll be out until next year.
Next year. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that I was surprised was basically how we didn't really get to see that much of actual Billy Batson himself. I mean, essentially, Billy Batson and Shazam are the same person. And then obviously they've got like Freddy, who I mean in the comic books ends up being a member of the Marvel family. He becomes like Captain Marvel Jr. So they're kind of using him as the, I suppose in this trailer anyway, like the eyes and ears for the audience to see what Shazam can do and so forth. They pretty much bang the nail on the head. It felt a bit, for me, I mean, it sounds like I'm being really, really harsh. And it's not because I don't like DC. Like I'm a fan of DC, and I did used to read Captain Marvel when I was a kid. Or Shazam, as some people call him, depending what area you're from. It's weird because it seems like we've gone from like super, super dark in a DCEU to a confused mess of it doesn't know whether it wants to be dark or to be lighthearted, but then it almost comes off that when it is lighthearted is the type of joke that your uncle or like your stepdad or your granddad would tell to you that you used to laugh at when you were 5 years old, but now that you're like 30 something, you just have to force laugh to straight up like to straight up like like a funny side of the DCEU. And once again, like you look at the MCU, and it's like there's a gradual progression of other types of films that they try to bring it into the fold. So they once again they've established a base, and it's one of those things where it's like Shazam looks good, but I'm not sure how it's going to fit in to the DCEU. I mean, you've got the whole little Easter egg things in a trailer of like this takes place in a place that that we're familiar with. You've got newspaper clippings of like Batman versus Superman. Freddy's like a Batman fan. He's got like a Batman replica and stuff like that. So you know that it takes place in a place that we're familiar with, but it just feels just so out there compared to everything that we've seen so far. Oh yeah, and we've got Suicide Squad as well. So it's almost like the type of villain that Shazam would be fighting against. I'm not sure if he'd be able to even. I wouldn't take him seriously if I saw him on the screen against a Jared Leto Joker, or or a Doomsday, if you want to call him that, from
Mm,
Batman versus Superman, or a General Zod. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um.
mm.
So yeah.
Who
So
is Venom, by the way? Do you know?
I actually can't even remember. All I know is that he's played by
He's played by Mark Strong, isn't he?
by Mark Strong. And that's about it. I've actually forgotten the villain's name, to be honest.
Hold on, let me look it up.
Right,
But
right,
yeah, carry on.
yeah, and yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Like we said, it's going to be next year. They pretty much. I'll tell you one thing I was really impressed with: the transformation from
Mm,
Billy to Shazam was pretty awesome. Like it was actually perfect. It was actually perfectly done. It wasn't too over the top, didn't look
mm,
too fake, and it wasn't subdued. It essentially was that it's a crack of lightning and smoke, and you see Shazam appear from that smoke. Yeah, it's actually really really good. I like it.
mm, mm, mm. Let's see. Right, Mark Strong is playing Dr. Thaddeus Sivana, one
Ah,
of the
okay, Dr.
smartest men
Savannah.
alive, but one
Yeah,
who's given to squandering his gifts on ridiculous inventions that no one could understand.
yeah,
Sivana
yeah.
himself had been summoned by the wizard Shazam as a child, but was not chosen as his champion, leading Sivana to spend his life trying to unlock the secrets of magic through science.
Mm, yeah. So you know what I mean? Like I said, like those stories. I mean, even now, like I would still read them.
Mm,
If it was done right. But you've got a side of the DCEU that hasn't been mentioned not once in the space of like what 4 films that we've got before.
mm, mm,
So yeah. So I'm finding it hard to, like to soak it in and just accept it. At
mm,
least with, like, let's say with the MCU. Well, but the thing about the MCU is that we were told from that end credit sequence at the end of Iron Man 1, where you've got Nick Fury basically saying like this is a bigger universe, like your imagination basically takes over and it runs wild anyway. And then you get things like the Hulk, and then you get things like Thor, and then you get things like Ant-Man and Captain America. But like everything has just been played so straight laced because they wanted to keep it like more of like a down to earth type of like friend or universe, that now that they've introduced magic into it is like, yeah, well, I'm not sure how this is going to sit, how this is going to sit nicely, or how it's going to sit, sorry.
mm,
But we'll see. I mean, the main parts of it, they've pretty much managed to nail down properly, so yeah.
mm. Yeah, I mean, again, this is another one that I was quite quietly surprised by and quite impressed by, really, because as I said, it's not a character that I know, but what I like about the trailer is that it straight away kind of gave me the information that I needed. So here's this kid. His name is Billy Batson. He's a bit of a loner, runs away from home a lot. Probably an orphan. Is put up with another family. Has to deal with bullies at high school. Then gets found by this powerful entity, this wizard who bestows this power on him, and he's basically a kid inside of a man's body with all of these powers, trying to make sense of what is going on. And what I like is that they have taken the comedic route with it and not tried to be too straight and too serious about it, because I think with my problem with some of what they were doing with the previous DC films is that they were just too dour for me. I couldn't really get into it because it just felt like it was so hard to appreciate where these characters were coming from and why they were doing what they were doing. Whereas you know, with this trailer, it already has kind of set up straight away who's doing what and where and why, with the exception of the villain that we get a glimpse at the end. But um, you know, I liked the way that they kind of set all of that up, and I'm kind of, you know, I'm willing for them to take a different direction because they tried the dark and broody thing, it didn't work. You know, they then went too far in the other direction and made Justice League goofy as hell, and on top of that, it just had terrible jokes in it, and that didn't work. So you know, I think they're trying to maybe restrike a balance a bit, and I'm cool with that. I don't mind that. I'm happy with them to go in another direction. I don't need to go back down the road we've already been down. We know that doesn't work. Everybody's told you it doesn't work. So, you know, they seem to be listening with regards to how people feel about the previous movies and why they were so divisive, and trying a different thing. So, you know, fair enough to them. You know, that's all any of us have really asked for, is to try and do something different, and they have. So we shall wait and see. The release date on this one is the 5th of April 2019.
Okay.
So it'll come out sort of just before that summer period in 2019 next year.
Mm.
So yeah, it'll be upon us soon. But yeah, cool, man. That's all good. Listeners, let us know what you thought of those two trailers as well. We'll let you know how you can get involved with us at the end of the podcast. So make sure you're listening in, and we'll give you our contact details and things like that at the end of the show. Now, there was a panel for Wonder Woman 1984, which I think is now the official name for the Wonder Woman sequel. But we didn't really get a lot of information about it. So I don't think it's really worth us talking about it at this point because we didn't get a trailer, we didn't get any real footage. I mean, there was footage apparently shown to people at Comic Con, but obviously we weren't there, sadly, so we can't talk about it. But that was part of DC's slate as well, and they rounded it out with that. Okay, let's move on, man. So we've got a couple of other trailers to talk about quickly. Ones that I guess, we really liked for different reasons. But let's start with one that maybe is a little bit more divisive. Rich, as you know, and you know, and I know, Teen Titans has been something that's been quite controversial in the community. We have a Teen Titans Go movie that's due to be out in the UK very soon, and is already out in America. That TV series that it's based on is one that Titan fans have really been divided down the middle about. Some people seem to love it, others absolutely hate it. And anyway, we've got a full length, or what looks like a live action TV series for the Teen Titans characters as well. This one will be appearing on DC's brand new streaming service that they're due to launch later this year. We don't have a date for when the streaming service will be starting in the UK and how, which to me seems like a major oversight. I mean, I remember tweeting that they're basically asking for people to pirate this show, because if you're going to just release it in the US and nowhere else and act like nobody else in the world wants to see the show, then you know you're basically encouraging people to do whatever it is they need to do to see it, which they will do.
Mm. Mm.
So it seems like a silly decision for me, you know, for Warner Brothers to not at least confirm that they have plans for a worldwide release. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, as I said, they have a number of TV shows, live action TV shows coming out. One of which is Swamp Thing, which I am kind of interested in, but we didn't get any footage for that. But we did get one for Teen Titans, which is being renamed Titans for the live action version. And the trailer was, shall we say, controversial.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's caused a lot of problems. I mean, there's been complaints about everything. You know, there's even been, as usual, the bloody racists have come out and have started attacking one of the particular actresses involved in the show. And yeah, we've got all that usual bollocks that we always get. But cutting all of that aside and talking just about the trailer itself, what did you think of the trailer itself, Rich? I mean, did it kind of, did it give you a sense of what this universe is going to be about, and were you happy with the direction that they've chosen to take for it?
I liked it. I liked it. I think it's pretty much still sticking to the tone of the Teen Titans book that was based on. And I'm talking like, to me, it reminds me more of like the Teen Titans that I grew up with in the 80s, like written by like Marv Wolfman. Those are just awesome stories. Um, I mean, obviously they've made it a bit darker just because of, different times, when in Rome. Uh, I'm yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I genuinely am looking forward to it. Um, from what I can remember, the trailer seemed to focus a lot more on Robin. So I can only assume that they're basically just using him as the linchpin because if people don't know, large amounts of information about him, I mean, at least he's the most known character out of the lot. So I think they're playing it pretty smart. The world that they seem to have crafted seems okay. Um, they did have. I mean, there was no. I don't remember seeing like a major villain that they were going to be facing against. It just seems to be kind of like, villain number one in a hoodie, or villain number two with like what's that hat that they wear in New York when they work on the docks, and villains wear it in 1980s computer games. You know what I'm talking about?
Nah.
No, it's like the little
Well,
woolly
like,
hat.
like like a wool hat.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
mean
Is it
like
just called a wool hat?
a wool hat? Yeah,
Okay, well, I just sounded stupid. Yeah, okay, so
yeah.
like, see, I've tried to make a funny on my observations about this trailer, and I just fucked up. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, I liked it. I like the universe that they're trying to craft. We didn't really see too much of it, to be fair. Um, but it seems okay. Beast Boy doesn't seem too bad. Raven, it's pretty much is capturing the essence of the character in the the comic book that I have grown up with, but did seem a bit too teen angst,
Mm.
if that's even possible. And who else was there? So they showed Beast Boy, they showed Raven,
um,
Starfire.
Starfire,
Yeah,
Robin, Hawk and Dove. We got a glimpse of as well.
Hawk and Dove. Hawk and Dove just seemed dark.
Mm.
And I like that. Yeah. So like, it's been it's been a good little while since, when we've watched any of these superhero or, TV shows, and just seen just some darkness, like just people just like to come in and just smash heads. I mean, you've got like the Daredevil and you've got the Punisher, but Hawk and Dove, considering how they look, which is one thing that I always found fascinating, they just look like really beautiful superheroes, but they just like to smash faces in, and that does come across in the trailer as well.
Mm.
Um, Starfire, it's weird because I have no issue with the color of the person playing whatever character, whether this person is Chinese, I shouldn't be like, Oriental, black, whatever, as long as you capture the essence of the character that you're portraying on screen from the source material, then it's all good. Go about your business. But looks wise, I just wasn't sold on her. So she's gonna have to prove herself on the screen when it comes to playing the character of Princess Corey, also known as Starfire. And I'm really interested to see if they're gonna go with the whole relationship with Robin and Starfire as well. I'm not even gonna drop any spoilers in there, but let's just say that it'd be interesting to see how fans will handle this and how ignorant people will handle this. And I hope they do go down this route, because I'd like to rub it in the faces of people who are fucking ignorant. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Robin is Dick Grayson in this one. Yeah, it's
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I haven't looked it up, so I've no idea. But yeah, I'm assuming he's Dick Grayson. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. There were certain parts of it that I felt it was trying a bit too hard.
mm,
I think because of the way the trailer was cut, they're really trying to emphasize that this is an adult approach to Titans, and very different to obviously to Teen Titans Go. Um, but I don't know. I wasn't quite convinced. Like, when Robin drops his F bomb, it just felt a little bit forced to me. Like, it
yeah,
didn't feel like it was natural. I don't have a problem with him saying it. It's
mm,
the way that it was delivered. I was a bit like, yeah, not too
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Um, Beast Boy, I don't know. Like, I'm not feeling the tracksuit, man. It looks like the kind of tracksuit I used to wear when I was 10. Forward looked like proper tracksuits, so she had to buy them from Marks and Spencer's.
Mm.
It kind of looked like that, and I was like, "Hello, what's this?"
Mm.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right to point out that this is exactly how Teen Titans was originally envisaged back in the 80s. Excuse me. Um, so there's nothing that they're doing here that's terribly radical or left field from what people who are familiar with that side of the comic, should recognize. People who are familiar with that should recognize that tone and that kind of style that they've gone for. Obviously, for people who've come into Teen Titans later in life, whether it's Teen Titans Go or whether it was the original Teen Titans cartoon, that might come as a bit of a shock to them, because those two shows have a very different tone to what this is kind of setting up. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, overall, it was very well done. I did like the look of Hawk and Dove, and they look, the costumes look fantastic. The blood again, because the way the trailer's cut, it's like they're overemphasizing the fact, look, there's blood, 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 and it just was a bit like you're hitting me over the head with a sledgehammer with this.
Mm.
I don't really need that. You can just kind of show the scene and let it flow naturally. You don't need to kind of overemphasize the fact that we've got blood in this, we've got blood, and they swear, look, Robin said F Batman.
See, I told you.
So, like, yeah, they kind of felt like they were over egging it a little bit to me. But that said, I mean, am I not gonna watch the first episode? Yeah, of course I am. I'm gonna go check out the first episode and see what it's saying, and then probably make my decisions after a couple of episodes, and we'll see where I go on. But yeah, said listeners, there is no UK official release date at this point for it. So, by whatever means you need to go to watch the show, do that. Nobody over here is going to be judging you. But yeah, we don't know exactly when. I mean, presumably it goes out with the launch of DC Universe Online. Sorry, not DC Universe Online. DC Universe Online is the game. DC Universe is what the TV streaming service is called. And that launches in October in the US. So I guess we'll find out more when it approaches at that point. But yeah, man, let's move on. Let's move on to some other trailers. Sticking with comic book themed trailers. This is one I don't know nothing about, Rich. So you're going to have to talk about this one.
Hey, wait a minute! Don't put me on the spot like that. What's wrong with you?
Something nice that you like, man.
Okay, hit me.
Well, I was going to say that the trailer for Deadly Class was released for the show on Sci-Fi, which will be
okay.
due out towards the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, I don't know anything. I know Rich has been reading the Deadly Class comic for what, 2 years? Is it, Rich? You've been reading it for?
Yeah. Give or take as long as it's been out. To be fair.
Okay. And that's by the comic book writer Rick Remender, who's very well known in the industry. So the TV show is based on his comic book. So yeah, Rich, give us a little like kind of comic book background on the TV show, and then just let us know your thoughts on the trailer.
I mean, to be fair, like I don't want to say anything. In fact, I was actually speaking to, because we went to LFCC yesterday, which is something we're going to touch upon later on in the show, viewers. And I asked one of my friends, Jared. See, the thing is, like, I like to say names, like people know who I'm talking about. But anyway, Jared's a guy that I work with at work, and he's into IT, he's into he's into comic books as well. And I basically remember telling him about this a little while back. Because he was just looking for something new to read, and I was like, listen, like try Deadly Class. And he was like, well, okay, he's Australian. He was like, okay, mate, you flaming galah, what's it about? And I was like, all right, governor, listen to this. Yeah. And I said, it's basically about this a Hispanic teenager called Marcus, who is kind of like, is basically an orphan, and he manages to talk his way or bullshit his way into like what would be considered, let's say, a really, really top private school in the States. The thing is that this top private school is a front for assassins for all over the world. So, for example, basically, you've got this school, and you've got basically famous families from, or famous assassin families from Russia, who send their kids there to be trained. and then you've got people from the UK, and then you've got people from China, and they all get sent there to train. And it's almost kind of like a, would you say, what's the best term? Is it like a common grounds? So basically, anybody who goes to the school can't be touched from the outside, give or take, because it's kind of just like it is one of the rules. But take into account what high school is like anyway. So you've got your jocks, you've got your geeks, you've got your teachers, and then throw into the mix that everybody is a trained assassin in one way or another, and then add on top of that it's set in the 80s, so a lot of the soundtrack in the comic book, and I'm sure it's gonna translate into the TV show as well, because Rick Remenders like has seemed to have had quite a really hands-on all over this. It's basically a mixture of like
Does he have
1980s rap
a producer
and
credit on the
rock.
show? I
Yeah,
think he
he has got
does.
producer credit. Yeah, and he's been very very hands on. If you've been, I remember like first hearing that he got commissioned, and he was just blasting up Instagram, like just killing it on Instagram, and just I think he actually might have even had like a bit of a part of saying who was gonna play who, on the little screen as well. So that's really good. But essentially that's it in a nutshell. It's basically about a private boarding school in the States, set in the 80s, and the children are basically raised to be assassins. Um, so yeah, it's literally that. But I'm so excited for it. Like the comic book is just awesome. Oh, but hold on, I was telling a story about Jared. Okay, yeah. So I see it. So that's how I said to Jared. So I said, "Hey, Jared, there's this book." And he goes, "Okay, mate, tell me what's about." And I said, "Look, I just said what it is." And he went, "Okay, that sounds pretty rad." And I was like, "All right, cool. Well, listen, when you pick it up, just let me know." This son of a bitch didn't even tell me that he started reading it until Sunday, because I was like, if you want, I can go to LFCC and I can pick you up a graphic novel, or like basically one of the trade paperbacks for Deadly Class. And he was like, mate, I'm already on volume 6. And I was like, bro, you've got further than me. Like, you're taking a piss now. Like, so yeah, so I mean that's my little story behind the comic book. The trailer is basically, I mean, from what I could see, this is, you see, if you've ever read 300 and then watched the film 300, this might be one of those things that's the closest thing to what you see in a panel on screen. Everything just seems perfect. Like I'm super super excited for it. I'm a bit upset you didn't get to see some of the violence, because the comic book is actually really really violent, and I'm not saying that I like to see people's faces get smashed in, but I like to see people stick to source material. So
People
I
get
mean,
their
if you're
faces
gonna, if
smashed
you
in.
say again.
You don't like to say that you like seeing people's faces get smashed in, but you like to see people's faces get smashed
Yeah,
in.
exactly. Yeah, it's like I'm not just because I am bad guy doesn't mean I am bad guy. So um so so I mean, like, I think they've kind of maybe kept that, let's say, for the next trailer maybe. Um but I'm interested to see how they're gonna deal with that. Do you know what Deadly Class is gonna be showing on? Is it made by Stars?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi are doing it.
See, it's weird because
And
the
it is
trailer
being the Russo brothers are executive producers on it as well.
okay, yeah. Okay, I mean, like, I haven't, to be honest, I actually haven't watched any programs or TV shows done by Sci-Fi. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
not for years for me.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, if I would have like put it to any channel, I either would have done HBO or Stars, because it seems like they just answer to nobody. Um, so I mean,
Well, I
as
think
much as,
they're cable networks, aren't they? Like Stars and
yeah,
HBO,
yeah,
so
yeah,
they can
yeah,
kind of get away with doing more. Whereas
yeah.
Sci-Fi is network television in the States. So correct me if I'm wrong, American listeners, but I think Sci-Fi is network. So there may be areas that they can't go into that the comic book does go into,
Mm.
but I'd be surprised if they tone it down that much. Yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah. Well, look, but hold on. Furthermore, in fact, I remember seeing an episode of Spooks back in the day. I think it was like the fifth episode, and the main character got killed by her head being dumped in like a chip fryer. This was back in the day. This was like nearly 20 years ago on BBC One. So Sci-Fi, don't mess up. Like, yeah, go balls deep. Like,
Yeah, you're talking about the BBC here, mate. That's good old beep.
Yeah, no, but if the bead can do
us British know how to do this shit properly.
it. Oh man. So I mean that's basically the premise behind Deadly Class. And I don't even wanna, like I said, I don't even want to give any spoilers away, because it essentially is that it's like Beverly Hills 90210, but in the 80s, set in a boarding school in where they're trained to be assassins. Done. Like that's all they need to know. If you're not if you're not sold on that, then you're wasting my time. Get out. Yeah, don't bother. Don't bother watching it then.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, yeah, I mean, I said, as somebody who doesn't know anything really about Deadly Class, I thought it was pretty awesome, man. I enjoyed it. Yeah, no, it seemed like a cool trailer. Um, yeah, I didn't know any of the characters or anything like that. I've never read Deadly Class, so I kind of picked up everything I needed to from that trailer. And yeah, it sold me. I'm sucker for a good assassin series, so
Mm,
yeah, bring it on, man. Bring it on. Okay, before we move on to the last trailer, let me just geek out a little bit, because we also got a Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer, and it made me so happy. I mean, I know you're not that bothered about Godzilla, but for me, man, I love Godzilla. I love all those old school Godzilla movies
mm.
back in the day. And I even liked the Godzilla movie that came out in 2014, I think it was now. No, no, no. What am I talking about? It wasn't 2014. It was 2016. I think was the
What
last
the most
Godzilla
the
movie.
most recent one, yeah?
Most recent one, yeah.
Okay.
I really liked it. I mean, most people didn't, and I could understand some of the complaints about the pacing and the focus on certain characters. But for me, it was just it was just too much of a hype seeing Godzilla on the big screen.
Mm,
I was totally swept up in it. But this trailer has brought back some of the classic Godzilla villains as well.
mm,
We're gonna get Ghidorah in there, the multi-headed demon thing that you see the silhouette of at the end. Rodan, Mothra, all of that is going to be in there. Plus, apparently, they're teasing loads more as well. Um, and yeah, man, like, just show me a movie where like Godzilla's just bashing the shit out of
mm.
other monsters, and I'm good. I'm there. Let me see some nuclear flame breath. You see his tail light up. I'm good. That's it. I'm alright. I don't need like deep story and stuff. But what I do like is that it does have Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things is in there,
Yeah.
and Vera Farmiga, who's a really really good actress. She's in it too.
Mm.
And there's a few others in there as well. I think Ice Cube's kid is in there.
Oh yeah,
O'Shea
O'Shea
Jackson, yeah, I think he's
Junior.
in there as well. Yeah.
I, hmm.
Yeah, so there's a few other people who are in there as well. And there's that guy, I've forgotten what his name is, but he was the coach on Friday Night Lights, and
Oh yeah,
he's also in that series in Netflix. And he's got that really earnest face, and he always
yeah,
plays earnest characters.
yeah. But
You know
he's
what I'm
that
talking
guy.
about, that?
Yeah. He's got like an old face. He's not. He has got an old face, but he looks like he was born with an old face, isn't it? Like when he was 12, he could buy beers.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like he's got a mature face. I mean, like, yeah, I know what you mean. And he's in that film Game Night, which is actually really good. That's all recently.
Yeah. I need to get his name. Hold on
Mm.
1 second. Let me get
And
it because it's bothering me
his
now.
his his voice is kind of like this. Like, like, hi, I'm 11. I just started secondary school.
Yeah, Kyle Chandler, that's his name. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah, yeah.
Kyle Chandler. Yeah. He's just very very earnest all the time. But
Mm,
but yeah, the cast in this is pretty bloody good, because they've got like as well as those mentioned, Sally Hawkins is in it.
yeah.
Bradley Whitford, last seen in Get Out as the creepy dad.
Mm.
Um, Zhang Ji is in this as well.
Zhang Ji, yeah.
Um, yeah, which I think is the
Okay.
first time she's been in a Western movie for a while.
Yeah, it is.
And Charles Dance, the legend Charles Dance is in this.
Okay. All right.
And Ken Watanabe is back as well. And
Ah,
hopefully he'll say,
okay.
"Let them fight again." You
Yeah.
know.
Um, I mean, to be fair, I mean, like, it's really, really weird because my favorite Godzilla movies are from the 60s. Like, I like Godzilla
Hmm.
where like you see him on an island and everything looks fake, and like,
And
and you
it's
see
basically
Godzilla.
a dude in a rubber
Yeah,
suit.
yeah. Basically, a man in a rubber suit, and like, I mean, this is after like the original Godzilla, which is also it's just an amazing classic, and I do recommend that people go and watch that because your how you remember it, and when you watch it now, and the political themes that it does touch upon, it's a pretty deep film. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, it deals with like fallout of war and, well, basically nuclear war and stuff, the stuff, or the evil that man can do, and the
Mm,
ramifications of it. And that's as much as I'm gonna say. But go and watch the original Godzilla, and you should be able to pick up on those notes.
mm,
But
mm.
my favorites are like the Godzillas in a rubber suit. Like nothing beats the memory of me and my brother watching one of the I think it's called Godzilla and Son, and it starts off, I kid you not, like a Richard Attenborough, like on the island following nature, and
Mm,
it basically follows Godzilla trying to teach his son how to become, like a, how to grow up.
mm.
And there's a bit where Godzilla has a fight against one of the monsters. I don't know which, I know who it is, but he does the Muhammad Ali shuffle and boxes.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, this is the best film ever.
Yeah. It might be Rodan. I think he's fighting in that
It-
scene. I think so.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
even know.
famous scene. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's it's very famous because of that
yeah.
Muhammad Ali shuffle.
Because the thing is, the same thing. I remember I told Jared this at work, and he was like, "Yeah, this is how he laughs." He goes, "Yeah, you're shitting me. You're shitting me." And I was like, "No, bruv, like, listen, Google it, man." And he's
Mm,
like, "Okay, I'm gonna Google it." And I was like, "Yeah, Google it, like, or YouTube it. I'm going to my desk. If you can't find it, I'll find it for you." And then he literally just, I got to my desk and he hung me out on Google Hangouts, and he was like, "Shit, man, you weren't even lying." I was like, "Bruv, why am I going to lie about Godzilla doing a Muhammad Ali shuffle and boxing, bruv? Like, of all
yeah,
things."
yeah. Like that's the kind of shit you can't make up. You can't make that up. It has to be true because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but I never saw the most recent Godzilla
Mm.
movie. I think I will go back and watch it and then watch this one. But what I am more interested in is that basically I do know that they are heading for this monsters universe, right? So isn't
Yeah.
King Kong basically coming into this at some point, or
At
aren't they
some
going to be?
point, yeah. I mean, I know
Yeah,
that was the plan. I don't know if they're still doing it now,
yeah,
but yeah, that the plan was that they were going to integrate King Kong into this universe as
yeah.
well.
Because I think it's the next one. Because I remember seeing like a somewhere like it was because the last one that was Kong Skull Island, which I did see. I
Mm,
didn't see the King Kong before that. And then obviously you got Godzilla, then you've got this next Godzilla. And then I think they're meant to come to a head of, like, I think the Battle of the Beasts or something like that.
mm,
So I am interested in it. It has piqued my interest, and I'm gonna have to go back and view the films that I haven't watched, just to be up to speed. So yeah,
mm.
yeah, that trailer got me. It did get me.
Cool. All right, man. Well, let's get on to the last trailer that we're going to talk about tonight, which was the trailer for Glass, the new movie from director M. Night Shyamalan. And this is one that people have been looking forward to ever since it was kind of teased at the end of Split, his last movie, and then officially announced, which is basically kind of bringing together his characters from his classic take on the comic book movie Unbreakable and Split, and creating this universe where basically three of the main characters from those two movies all exist and coexist together. The trailer for that I thought was phenomenal, man. Really good, really well done. Um, he the one thing about M Night Shyamalan is he always puts out a good trailer. Like the movies may not necessarily be that great, but the
Mm,
trailer itself will always be good. Um, and I don't even want to go into too much detail and speculation at this point because I just want to see the movie and absorb it and get all of that from the movie experience when I watch it. But yeah, I mean, basically, I'm sold. I'm down. Like you've got Mr. Glass back, you've got Bruce Willis's character David Dunn, like he was calling himself the Guardian, right, or something. Or I think that's
yeah,
what
yeah, The Guardian, yeah,
Mr. Glass
yeah,
was calling him. But yeah, you've got Samuel Jackson back in the wild hair and wheelchair,
mm,
scheming. You've got James McAvoy playing the Beast, and his character from Split. So like you've got all of these, and you've got Sarah Paulson in there as well, who's always good in whatever she's in.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm just looking for them three to throw down, basically. Like that's what I want to see. As much as there's loads of philosophical, I'm sure there'll be loads of philosophical musings about the abilities of man to manifest, powers within themselves that seem beyond human norms. But yeah, to be honest, I don't care, man. Just throw it down.
Hmm.
But yeah, Rich, how about you, man?
Oh yeah, listen, I loved it. I mean, if I haven't mentioned it before, but basically, I mean, there's certain comic book adaptations which have to get an honorable mention, and Unbreakable is one of them. And the funny thing about Unbreakable being in my list is that I'm sure that everybody knows, I'm sure now because the film's that old, it's not even based on a comic book. But it was one of the first films. Well, you know what? It's not one of the first films. I think it was such a well constructed film because it took the formula which was used by Richard Donner for Superman the movie, and it basically just built this character up. Like it just stuck to like just telling a story, and it just happened to be about a man who has powers. And I think that's what makes a good, let's say, superhero film. Like you have to believe in this character and this
Hmm.
world that this character inhabits, and then you bring in the powers. And that's one of the reasons why why Superman the movie works, and they take that blueprint and they use it for Iron Man, and Iron Man works, and or they use it for for Christopher Nolan's Batman. So, it just works, and and it's one of those films that I've always wanted to see a sequel to because I remember collecting a magazine called Wizards, and I'm talking like this is like years ago. They're not even around anymore. I think they more help with like the Comic Cons now, and
Mm-hmm.
it always this was always meant to be a trilogy. That's the thing. And I remember like they even because Alex Ross did all the sketches and the designs for basically all of the characters in the thing, and I'm sure that if you actually buy the DVD special edition, it might be worth like a bomb now. But there was a DVD special edition where you got like a little miniature comic book of designs that Alex Ross did of Bruce Willis as the Guardian and Samuel Jackson as Glass and so forth. And Alex Ross is quite intricate when he does his designs. He always breaks down on the page as to why he's done this and has to why as to why he hasn't done this, and he'll give you like like evolutions of characters that he designs. Um and so yeah, so like and I just remember just watching this film and just thinking to myself, this film was perfect and it's easily one of my top 10 films of all time. So the joke is I haven't seen Split, and unfortunately, it's one of those things where I didn't see Split because, as even though I'd heard really good things about it, M Night Shyamalan, um's but catalog of films has been very sketchy at most. So I'm upset, but I know how it ends, and I know now that this leads into like the third part of this
Hmm.
trilogy that I've been waiting for years. So now I need to go back and watch Split and be prepared for Glass. But I just can't wait because he just seems to be taking every single like comic book like lore and bringing it into the real world, and it doesn't seem forced or seem fake or seem out of place. You know what I mean? Like you look at the character of Mr. Glass, and he's in his purple suit, and you just know that that's his super villain suit that he wears when he's chatting his shit to the heroes. Like like that whole thing of like, hey, Mr. Bond, before I kill you, I'm gonna tell you my plan. Like, they all have that look. Like Mr. Glass looks like that super villain. Like, even though the character that David Dunn, the character that Bruce Willis portrays, even though he's just wearing that like like that fisherman cowl, it's just a cloak, but it looks like a superhero cloak, especially
Hmm.
when you see him, doing all the superhero things. And then obviously you've got like James McAvoy, who plays the Beast, who physically looks like a beast, like skinny James McAvoy from like the Tales of Narnia, or skinny James McAvoy from Shameless, the original like Channel 4, to the Beast now. Yeah, like I'm super excited for this, man. Like, if anything, people in the DCEU or anybody looking to make a superhero film, um, take notes. Like maybe not don't even look at like the Marvel universe or like some of the Batman films. Just go and look at Unbreakable, and that's like literally to me a perfect comic book film. And that's not even a comic book.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. I mean, if you're listening to this and you haven't like checked out Unbreakable, please do. It's an amazing movie, and it's going to set you up for what's to come with Glass.
Mm,
So yeah, make sure you check that out. And check out Split as well, because
yeah.
Split is the kind of direct tie-in to those movies as well.
Hey,
So
question,
hmm.
because we all know that Shyamalan, I can't pronounce his name. So I'm just gonna call him M Night, right? So M Night, we all know that every single film that M Night has, like every single one has like a plot twist at the end. What do you think is gonna be the plot twist for Glass?
I don't know, yeah, that's a good
When
one.
is it out? Is it out next year or this year?
It's out next year.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah. So yeah. So let's let every so often let's just go back to this because I
Mm.
reckon the twist has to be pretty freaking big, right?
Yeah.
So like so I can tell you what I think it might be. I reckon that they actually are comic book characters brought to life by the imagination of somebody, maybe David Dunn's son, and he's basically brought the powers onto these people and put it onto these people into the real world. So basically, you see how they say how in the Marvel universe that Jack Kirby is actually a person that exists. No, not even that. Have you ever read the Century? There's an issue of the Century where basically Bob Reynolds is going crazy, and they
Mm.
go and visit Paul Jenkins,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like, okay, what's going on here? And it's like, yeah, well, I created this comic book, and you should be in my comic book. And they did something similar with Grant Morrison and Animal Man, but that was just super trippy. And anybody who's read anything by Grant Morrison knows that he's led a bit of a trippy life. But I think that'd be a really interesting twist that they actually are comic book characters brought to life, and it's maybe opened the gateway, and hopefully this just won't be the only characters that we see. That maybe this opens up like a whole new universe of Shyamalamalan superheroes. Not that I wouldn't see more films, but it'd be like a nice little twist to it. But I reckon that's one theory I have and as to how this film could end.
Okay, interesting. All right, listeners. Well, basically, hold Richard to that, innit? You guys see the movie when it comes out because we'll go see it and we'll talk about it for sure. We'll see what the big twist or surprise M Night Shyamalan has up his sleeve for us. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for the San Diego Comic Con section. Now we're running out of time here, so we've really only got a little bit of time left, but we just wanted to take a moment to remember and kind of honor the passing of somebody really important to um, the whole kind of geek scene. Really, somebody who coined a terminology that people are still using to this day, and that is John Schnepp. For those of you who don't know who he is, you might have seen him possibly on some YouTube videos if you're a fan of watching YouTube movie shows. He featured a lot on AMC Movie Talk initially, and then on Collider Video. He had his own show on there as well, where he'd host a show about comic book movies. But aside from that, he was, a filmmaker and a creative first and foremost. He was a huge champion of comic books, and his filmography is absolutely huge. You don't realize like how much he's done throughout his life. He sadly passed away just before Comic Con at the age of 51. And yeah, I think he's somebody who, all of us who are fans of pop culture should remember, because he was a guy who had incredible passion for what he did. And as said, if you just Google him and take a look at his filmography, you'll see how much he's done in life. He's achieved so many things, and been a part of so many TV shows that you probably watched when you were growing up and didn't even realize that he was involved in. So he's somebody who should be remembered. And everybody who talks about him as well kind of talks about um, how genuine he was. And people like Kevin Smith, who have spoken really eloquently about him, and being not just a passionate fan, but a passionate human being who genuinely seemed to have a tremendous connection with every single person that he met. And everybody kind of gravitated towards this guy because of the type of man he was, as well as the type of creative he was. So yeah, as I said, we just wanted to kind of pay our respects really in that regard. Rich, did you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I think you pretty much like touched everything upon it, man. Like
Mm.
it's weird because I've known about John Schnepp like for years. Like, obviously reading like Wizard as well and things like that. And it's just one of those things where it wasn't until I spoke to you, Jay, it's like that you reminded me of how much he's actually done. And but in everything, like whether it be television, whether it be like comic books, like writers, artists, like he's generally been just like a really big advocate for for a genre that which hasn't really which only just started in the past few years to really pick up pace. But he was just one of those just all welcome type of guys. Um, and I remember, I mean, me people that don't know, me and Jason work with each other. Well, we work in the same building for the same company. I passed by, to come and say hello. I remember you're watching that little is it the tribute on YouTube, and I said, don't
Mm.
do it, man, because I came down and I just looked at the screen and I saw one of the guys just talking, and did he break down while he was giving a little tribute to John Schnepp?
Yeah, he did.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like I just saw his face. It just made me sad. I was just like, this guy had like it was him. I mean, people that don't know, isn't John Schnepp did the Death of Superman documentary, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Death of
Yeah,
Superman Lives.
yeah, the Death of Superman Lives, like, which is a documentary about the Tim Burton film, when he was going to do a Superman film with Nicolas Cage. Like he's just done so much, like I said, and it wasn't until Jason reminded me and even told me things that I didn't know that I was like, yeah, this guy's just freaking. Well, he was awesome, man. So, but yeah, I mean, like we've lost a good one there, like definitely, definitely lost a good one.
Mm. Yeah, man.
Oh
Respect
shit,
to
we also lost
all
Steve
your
Ditko as well, man. Sorry to chime in there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we did. We since we last recorded, Steve Ditko passed away as well. He was a man who was legendary for his work on Spider-Man and Doctor Strange for Marvel,
Yeah.
but also did work for DC as well. I'm not as familiar with his DC work, but I know he did do quite a few
Mm,
characters for them. And yeah, as I said, is somebody who is just known as a legend throughout the industry for
yeah,
what he
yeah,
did. And if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're probably influenced in some way by the work that Steve Ditko did with that original character, and
yeah,
the design of the character, the way it looks, the way it moved on the page, the things that he brought in terms of the color and the use of color and things like that were really tremendous. And he was an absolute visionary. Certainly, he said with Doctor Strange also,
yeah.
he brought real life to Doctor Strange and to the kind of vivid worlds that character inhabits. So
Mm,
yeah, also somebody to remember as well. So
yeah.
yeah, man, for sure, for sure. All right, man. Well, we've only got about 5 minutes left. We've been talking for so long that yeah, we've kind of ate up all of our time. I guess we can lastly just kind of comment on the big controversial news that broke just before Comic Con or arrived, which was the parting of ways between Disney and James Gunn, director and writer of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You all know by now, I guess, the circumstances surrounding that. And that's the decision that Disney came to. Um, Clearly, there's a lot of strong feeling out there about this decision, and I don't know if you heard, Rich, but there's a petition going around at the moment online, which I think last I checked had hit about 370,000 signatures, um, for people, calling for Disney to reinstate James Gunn
Mm,
for this thing. Um, I guess this is a big topic, so we can't really break it down properly. I said we're out of time, but I guess if you can summarize your kind of thoughts on it in 2 or 3 minutes, then
mm.
yeah, go ahead.
2 or 3 minutes. Said no one ever to me. Um, uh, I don't know, man. I think it's really. I just think I'm not even trying to excuse what he said, but then at the same
Well,
time,
I
it's
don't think you
James.
can. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah,
you can't excuse what he said. I mean, that
yeah.
people have said, oh, he was working for Troma at the time, and da, da,
Mm,
da. But he himself turned around and said, you know what, that was inappropriate.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think if the man himself acknowledges that that it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, then
yeah,
that's fair. We have to accept his position on that.
yeah,
But that said, this was in 2008. This is a
yeah,
long time ago that he said this. And those that know him and those who have worked with him have said that, the man that they know is not the man, a man who should be characterized and represented by things that he said in 2008. Clearly
mm.
he's changed his perception of the world around him. So yeah, But sorry, go on, man.
Yeah, no, but it's just one of those things where it's like, to me, it's not even what he said, to be honest. It's the way in how the information has come up again, and
Mm,
it's basically just it's it's internet shaming.
mm.
Like I'm not sure if that's even a thing, but
Well,
yeah,
it's
but I
that
mean, like,
mob. Yeah, no, it's absolutely a thing. It's that mob mentality. I mean, it's kind of
yeah,
what we talked about on the podcast where we were talking about kind of keyboard warriors and people's desire to rally troops around them and have these culture wars on social media. It's that
yeah,
same mentality.
and yeah, and I think that that's the thing that upsets me and scares me more. It's not what he said. Because like I said, like he said it at a time when he's of a particular age and he works for a particular company. And to be fair, everything that he said didn't seem out of turn, knowing his background and what he makes. That's it. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying excusing it. I'm not saying it's right either. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying that he hasn't said anything out of turn compared to what he does. It's like, and I put it to the thing of like, if Seth, not Seth, is it Seth Green? If Seth MacFarlane was to tweet that on Twitter, I would be like, listen, don't be upset about what he says because because if you haven't seen an episode of Family Guy, then go and watch an episode of Family Guy, and then you know what to do. Just don't look at his stuff. Just don't follow his tweets. So it's the whole thing of like how people went out and dug and looked for this bad blood to bring up and get him shafted. So that's what scares me and upsets me a lot more than actually what he said. Because comedy is comedy. Comedy is gonna make X amount of people laugh, and it's always gonna upset somebody. So sometimes you just have to deal with it, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I do like the fact that the MCU, well, certain members of the MCU are actually rallying together because they are looking at the bigger picture, which isn't what he said, and is about like James Gunn being a good person, and somebody basically just trying to tarnish a man's reputation. They're trying to break a man down. That's how I see it, and I like the fact that they're banding together, and even though they all do belong to the House of Mouse Disney, and they understand why decisions may have been made. They themselves are sticking to their, internal moral compass, and giving someone the benefit of the doubt, which they know very, very well. Um, and so yeah, I mean, he's going to be a loss. I think he's going to be a loss to the Marvel universe if he's not reinstated. But it's one of those things that if you reinstate him, you're just opening yourself up for more headache and more hassle, really, aren't you? I mean, right now he's probably in the same boat as like the Brexit referendum. So is it going to happen? Is it not going to
Hmm.
happen? We'll just have to wait and see.
Oh Lord, please don't bring up the B word on the podcast again, bro. I broke out in a cold sweat, bro, when you said Brexit. Jesus. Listen, for all you international listeners, like, yo, we've got ourselves in a right old mess in this country.
Mm.
Like, right old mess. Because we don't know where we're coming, where we're going. Like, we don't know what the fuck is happening right now. So,
Mm, mm.
yeah, that's probably not a bad analogy actually to describe the whole situation. But as I said, listeners, unfortunately we've run out of time. So what we'll do is we will touch upon the Gunn situation again, because this is quite a deep issue, and I don't think we can really do justice to it at the moment. But I mean, I'm sure you who are listening to this will have your own opinions on this. So let us know what you feel. I mean, do you feel Disney were right to make the decision that they did? Or do you feel that Disney are being hypocritical given the kind of past that company has and some of the movies that they put out in the past that they've hurriedly disappeared and wiped from their slate? Some of the South, I'm looking at you. So perhaps Disney should not have been as hasty as they were. But as I said, let us know what you think. There'll be a short trailer at the end of the podcast. It will give you our contact details on there, so you can drop us a line on any of our socials and give us your thoughts on the whole thing. All right, man. Well, we're going to head out, but before we do, we've got to do a couple of quick shout outs. So I want to say a big thank you to Rob Wade from Emotionally 14. Rob has kindly been hosting our podcast over at emotionally14.com. Emotionally14.com is basically a home for a lot of podcasts that Rob and his guys put together, but also lots of other podcasts as well. They cover lots of pop culture and geek culture, just like we do, especially with a Star Wars emphasis as well. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, definitely head over to emotionally14.com and check those out. Big thank you again to the BritPod scene as well, our collective that we are a part of. Home to over 100 UK podcasts, all independently produced, and about a variety of subjects as well. So if you like listening to podcasts about different things, then definitely give the BritPod scene a visit. You can find them at www.britpodscene.com, or look out for BritPod scene on all social media and you'll find them there. Also want to say a big up and shout out basically to J-Man from J30 Productions. Thank you to you. Shout out to Nostalgia Party Podcast, PCO Unlimited, the boys from Hashtag Blackout, Christian and Damon's Amazing Nerd Show, Thursday Catch Up, and Mr. O as well. And don't forget to check out our new podcast as well, which is called The Bebop Rewatch. If you're a fan of Cowboy Bebop, this is absolutely essential listening for you, because what we do is we break down each episode, tell you a bit about the episode itself, give you some trivia, and give you our thoughts on it, and just basically have a good time reminiscing about one of the greatest anime TV shows ever made. So yeah, go check it out. You'll find it right on this podcast stream, so you won't have to go anywhere. Wherever you are, whatever podcast that you're using, just head to the Wulong Talk stream and you'll see the Bebop Rewatch on there as well. All right, Rich, we're going to have to wrap it up, man. So let's say goodnight and call this one a night. So it's good night from me. Rich, say goodnight.
Good night.
Cool, and we're out, people. Peace, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again next week.